Good afternoon, this is Jeff of Sewer Tech Northwest. We are at property address 4974 Southeast Furwood Crest Lane here in Hillsboro. I describe everything as if you are standing out in the street facing the front door of the house, the front of the house in general. We are just off to the right of the front doorway. Nice little 3-inch ABS clean out in the concrete, not to be confused with the one furthest to the right here. That one's going to be for your storm system. So if your storm lines ever clog up, that's one of the access points for it anyway. Anyhow, we're going to check the overall condition and serviceability of the sanitary sewer line. Water's running. Again, it's 3-inch ABS. We're going to zero the foot counter out once we get down to the base of the clean out. The first joint you come to here in the clean out is a little bit cattywampus, as you can see. But where this would be more concerning if this were out in the yard where groundwater could seep in. This is just kind of it's a blemish. And it's not the actual sewer line anyway. It's merely the access point. So just wanted to point that out. That's not even going on my report, as it really can't even result in anything. Mostly if you saw that on the video, I wanted you to know what that was there. Anyway, we were zeroed out. Off we go. Right out of the gate, nice clean flow line. Zero grease buildup, which is very nice to see. Actually, quite an uncommon thing to see on the average line. Most lines have at least a little bit of a layer of grease buildup. And these vertical drops like this, we're going straight down right now. It's kind of counterintuitive. It's a little bit of a kind of a fun little sewer fact for you. Hard vertical drops will collect more grease buildup than any other part of your line. Because what's usually carrying the grease is typically hot water in general. And on those vertical drops like that, water is a much thinner fluid and moves faster. So as that stuff leaves the grease behind, the grease cools down rapidly and gets hung up there. We just transitioned there to 4-inch 3034. A little bit of standing water just at the transition. Very common location to see standing water. Doesn't make it a good thing, but it's a very minor little spot. We'll revisit that on the way out when the line's fully drained. Not the kind of belly that's concerning. You're clogging up a belly that tiny. You are going to clog your line long before you get to that point. If you're abusing the line that hard anyway. And here's the main connection at about 47 feet. Nice looking sewer line. Even with the little belly in there, these homeowners are doing a great job keeping the line clean. And I highly recommend keeping that same habit up. We're going to go locate really quick here, and then I'll give you kind of a good rundown on how to mitigate grease buildup. Keep the line clean. Alright, located the camera head successfully. Line terminates out on Southeast Furwood Crest Lane. Where I pick that locate up, turn around, look back at the house, I'm almost looking straight back at the clean out. The line does a little bit of a jog towards the driveway, but straightens out pretty quick. It moves out to the street through the yard area, not the driveway. And looks like we are fully drained off. So anyway, to keep the line this clean, it's a very good habit to have in place, especially if you have little kids. They're still learning how to fold toilet paper, or adults, I suppose, wad their toilet paper up like a softball. Balled up toilet paper is the number one blockage item out there. Obviously, wiped paper towels, flushable wipes, and I include flushable wipes in the improper category. They are slightly less horrible than paper towels and wipes are. But anyway, keeping the line grease-free makes your line much more forgiving under those circumstances. So what I tell most people as a kind of a rule of thumb to live by, if you've got enough grease or oil on your pans, if you turn that pan sideways, this is when the pans are hot or warm, there's enough on there that it runs off the pan in beads or worse, or flows off of there. Doesn't just stay stuck to the pan because it's such a thin layer. It's at that point you want to do something about it. Either pour it into a jar or let it cool down, scrape it off into a garbage can, or wipe it out with a paper towel. Thin little coating of Pam spray, for instance, not a big deal. Just always use hot water and soap. And one of the keys to helping keep stuff from building up, if you know some's getting down there, is let your hot water run for about 30 seconds to a minute after your last dish was scrubbed off. That helps to ensure that anything that got down line stays hot, melted, and emulsified until it gets out to the main or a good distance from the house. The stuff rapidly cools down once it hits the exterior where the pipe's buried underground. So it's just a couple things you can do. These folks are doing a great job at keeping this thing clean. Now, it looks like something in the house is, the dishwasher's finishing its cycle. Some little hot water's coming through. But this little belly here is teeny tiny. Even with water running, when I level the camera off here, you've barely got a 1/4 inch of water. It's about a 6-inch long belly. In fact, it doesn't even span a full foot of pipe. Starts about 15 feet, dissipates off at 15 foot 8 inches. For the sake of making it easy, I'm going to say 15 to 16 feet, but it's not even that long. And that is light years and galaxies away from needing repair work there. That's about as tiny as a belly can possibly be. But anyway, what grease does to your line is it just creates for sticky conditions. It makes the flow line malleable and soft, not a hard, smooth pipe bottom. You know, and a lot of times when you flush your toilet, especially these low flow toilets we have nowadays, they put very little water down line. You know, this is a shorter line, granted, but most of the time when you flush solids down the toilet, it's pretty uncommon for them to get from A to B in one shot. It's usually a conjunction of toilet flushes, showers draining, sinks draining that helps to convey solids out to the main. So what you don't want to have is a big thick layer of grease buildup when that stuff does stop somewhere, that it gets stuck to the pipe bottom. And this is mostly as it relates to paper products. It basically gets adhered to the pipe. And when you do get blockages, like toilet paper blockages, for instance, that are usually balled up toilet paper, many of those will break loose on their own without you even realizing they happened. Water builds up behind them for a few feet, combined with some disintegration of the paper, and it busts loose on its own. Though when you have a bunch of grease in your line, it acts like glue, and that same blockage that easily breaks loose after a few feet of pipe fill up behind it can now withstand significantly more head pressure and water building up behind it. So it's more likely stuff like that will result in a blockage. No, and it's even more so problematic when improper things get downline. Tampons, wipes, paper towels, things like that don't disintegrate properly. So there's your PSA for the day on grease buildup. This is a really good example of how to treat your line. I just wanted to kind of point that out and show you how to keep it that way. We have great flow all the way to the main lateral connection. That little belly there is having essentially zero impact on flow, especially being that you've got a nice vertical drop prior to it. All the pipe here is in good condition, intact. Again, a little bit of a cattywampus joint right here. This is not even part of the actual sewer line. That's just clean out access there. So sewer line is functioning properly at this time. Nice looking line there.